Welcome. In this video, we're looking at how to interpret a URL. Here we have the URL www.google.com. Well, this URL actually is broken up into two subsections, the scheme and the domain name. The scheme is essentially the protocol that is used to connect to this web resource. The domain name, also sometimes referred to as the fully qualified domain name, is the path to the actual web resource, the website, for example. The scheme has to begin in a URL because that tells the web browser how to connect to the resource. HTTP and HTTPS are just two of the common schemes that are out there. They are not the only ones. Another one might be FTP, for example. Even the domain name itself is not just one level. The domain name actually is broken down into several sublayers. So here with www.google.com, the www is known as the subdomain. The domain itself is Google. That is called the second level domain name. And the ending, the extension, is called the top level domain name. However, there are some instances where the www doesn't have to be there. Sometimes the subdomain can be omitted and the web resource is still available. However, this is not always the case. For example, if you want to get to Gmail, it should be gmail.google.com. If you leave out the Gmail portion, it takes you to the search portion of the website. So we have to keep that in mind. So next we have to look at, if we're looking at a domain name, what happens if there's things after the .com? Here we have a file path or structured path. Here we have the directories beneath the main website that has content. Search by image is one directory, and underneath that directory is another directory called upload. What is interesting is not all websites will have a structure or a file path. For those websites, everything is in the top file path. So moving on, this is one of the most important, especially if we're dealing with searching. We have what's called a parameter. The parameter basically provides additional structure to our URL. Here I provided a search. And you know that by the question mark. The question mark is known as the parameter string, and that lets you know that we're doing some type of search. Here, the query is for my name, Arthur Salmon. However, not all searches are equal. We know that the search string will come after the question mark. However, there are some websites that add additional content. For example, here's google.com's searching for my name. How Google does it is it does search question mark and everything else is additional content. But with Google, we see an ampersand, a Q equals the search string, an ampersand, an O, a Q, and the search string again, and it ends with an ampersand. And it does this regardless of what you're searching for. This is just how Google does their searching. Again, here we're searching for the word tests. So if we got this URL, we would know what we're looking for by it being after the Q, and we're looking for some type of string that's readable for us. Most search engines will do an ampersand Q equals and the string that we're looking for. Lastly are these things called anchors. Here we have a Wikipedia page and we have at the very end a pound sign, Susan Vonnevan. Well, the anchor is the pound sign. The anchor allows for loading of a certain portion of a page. So if you have a long page, like a Wikipedia page, and you want it to load a certain portion of the page, you would set anchors. and this anchor would load that portion of the page. So how does this help us in the grand scheme of digital forensics? So what we're going to do now is we're going to see how to do a recovery of a search string in Wireshark. So we're looking at evidence file 3, and we want to see the search results for an individual. So we're loading up our PCAP. I'm not worrying about the version. And we actually want to make sure that we load our search results. So how do we do that? First of all, we have to understand that we were searching, the user was searching through HTTP. And we know that HTTP retrieves websites using GET. So we need to be able to filter our Wireshark to specifically only show us HTTP GET requests. And what we can do is we can do a HTTP. We're looking for the requests method. Request. I don't like when it does that. Request dot method, and we were specifically looking at GET. Well, you can first notice that most of these GET requests, the things that are returning items, are using this 66 address. The rest of this are just displaying some type of JPEG. So we can do this one of two ways. We can filter out again IP.destination. We want to only display this web server 66.235.132.121, and that lets us see our search requests. So you'll notice from the parameters, you'll see the question mark that lets us know what we're looking for. And as we start looking through the parameter itself, we can start seeing search for movie string http factsearch.itunes.apple.com. Again, we see print to search, incremental search, and as we keep looking through, you can see with this search, we're looking for a %3D, H, and it ends with an ampersand. So you'll see H, HA, HAC, HACK, and if you keep going down, you may have to adjust the width again. HAC, HAC. So as we've seen HAC, HACK, you should now see a movies page, movies %20 page US hackers, and that is the name of the movie. That's the first one. And you'll notice immediately thereafter, we're looking at the %3D, S, 3DSN, 3DSNE, SNEB, that seemed to be a little typo, S, 3DSNEA, SNEK, and then the next one you'll notice is the search page for sneakers. Part of this is learning to decode the URL, because the URL is going to present mass amounts of information, and every URL is going to be slightly different. So a common question I get is, how do I know that it was %3D? And in all honesty, when I looked at this, you'll notice that that was the only part of the string that started to modify after we've seen several of them. S, SN, SNE. That was the only part of that URL that happened to be changing. So that let me know, hey, that's probably the search term. Now there are other search terms available in this. However, that was just looking at 2 of them. Keep in mind that each search engine is going to be slightly different. So this is more practice. If you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.